Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your match reaction to Manchester United's win against Viktoria Plzen in the Europa League. And well, two contrasts for me. Get your player ratings in, mark every player out of 10, 6 being the average, star for your player. I tell you what, the game changed because of the subs, but I'm telling you, some of those performances today were shocking. I mean, I'm not saying we're going to sell them straight away, but you look at Amarim's face in relation to certain players and you think, surely he's going to be saying to Ineos, I'd like to sell these players. Over to you, Ineos, will you sell them? Because we've been down this rabbit hole so many times with some of them. It's just not acceptable. I even think Onana might be in trouble now because if you're Amarim, you're having to fight back from mistakes in 2 games in a row. And I don't know why he's making those mistakes. But more profile on Rashford, of course. Terrible first 45 minutes. No interaction with Amarim when he was subbed off. It's a concern. It's a concern for Manchester United, that one is. Xerxes, look, he's only been here 5 minutes. But I think the thing for me, if we focus on a positive first, is that the substitutions made a massive difference. Mason Mount's not perfect, and fingers crossed he's going to stay fit. But what he did bring was intensity, passing ability, and a presence that then made Ahmad have more space. And then Rasmus provided a focal point. Even Garnacho off the bench made a difference. So, look, I'm not saying that they are going to make Man City or Arsenal or Liverpool shit themselves. I certainly don't think that. But the contrast between what Rasmus, Mount, and somebody else came on for, even Anthony offered more than Xerxes and Rashford. And that to me is shocking. And it does need to be called out because even if Amarim doesn't call it out, what pisses me off about that today is that he picks a team and I look at the bench and I go, there's a few players on the bench that will be absolutely raring to go for the derby. Like Agate, Mainu, Rasmus, Garnacho, maybe even Mason Mount. They'll be completely fresh for the derby in 2.5 days' time. They've had to be used, a lot of those players now, because these players that were... I mean, what amazes me is that if you are Xerxes or Rashford or Casemiro or whoever else might not start on Sunday, this is your chance. It's a competitive game for Manchester United. If you and the opposition's not that good. I mean, they weren't as bad as some people thought, but it's not that good. This is your opportunity to play well and, you know, show the manager that you're potentially a player that he should be using. And they put in a performance like that. That's the irritant for me, is that this is their opportunity and they wiped their arse with the shirt, basically. They were absolutely dreadful. It struck me as, I can't be arsed. It struck me as, I don't fancy this. And I'm like, you're not even the first team players, really, in my mind. So you're meant to be showing us something as to why you should be winning your place back in the first team. And then they put in performances like that. And then they play so badly that we have to take them off early. And then we've got to burn people for the derby on Sunday. I mean, you look at the effort that someone like Rasmus put in for that half an hour. That's gonna take its toll in relation to the game on Sunday now, because we've had to use those players. So, look, again, another positive for me is that I know the reality. As many of you do, I know the reality. We're bloody miles off. In some ways, those subs have got us out of jail because we are miles off. I do want to talk about Bruno as well. I'm very interested to see what people think about Bruno. Apparently, he's not in the player ratings. Let me just double check that. But yeah, look, I think that one of the positives for me as well is that he is also... yeah, there is no Bruno in the player ratings. We'll get that sorted out. He is also a massive player for us. Obviously, he's going to play every single game. But the point I'm trying to make is that this result today, whilst it was frustrating at times, there is no skirting away from the fact that we have learnt again, haven't we? Like, Amarim's learned a load of stuff again today. Ineos will see a load of stuff again today. Like, there is no polishing a turd. Like, we will literally have... apparently, if you refresh the page, Bruno is there. There is nowhere to hide for that performance today. And I'm sure Amarim is going to be in that situation himself, looking at that game the same way you've looked at that game and going, you know what, I have got problems here that I need to resolve quite quickly. Rasmus was getting onto Ahmad's ass for not passing the ball properly at the end. I mean, look, I don't want to see that because I appreciate Ahmad and I appreciate Rasmus. But at the end of the day, in a way, it's positive because, you know, you do need that. I like Ahmad. The first goal comes from him. But you do need that. You do need that. You need a striker that's going to shout at players when they should be passing. Rasmus should have slipped Garnacho in at the end. So they need to be demanding that, because we need to demand excellence. There was some bad habits in that game today. There were silly shots again. I mean, Delo tried one, didn't he? Anthony did a couple as well. We saw a couple of Hollywood passes trying to get into Rashford in the first half. But what I liked when the subs came on is that we played a style of football that stylistically was a lot better. If you think about the chance where Bruno gets it to Rasmus, then he slips it into Mount and the keeper makes a good save. If you think about the pass from Ahmad into Mount and the keeper makes a good save. We had a couple of breakaways at the end. I mean, we conceivably, from when the subs came on, we could have scored 5 goals. On a different day, we could have scored 5 goals. So in the first half, I don't think we looked like scoring 1. So the substitutions made a big difference. That's the positive. The concern is the first half, because that was absolutely abysmal. Absolutely abysmal. And abysmal to the point, I'd be surprised if Amorim didn't say something after the game, because it was shocking for a Manchester United performance in that first half was dreadful. And the substitutions showed that up, because they came on and went and took the performance to a completely different way. So what was it about the first half? Now, a lot of people will talk about a lot of people will talk about the Rashford performance. I think we have to be even-handed. Somebody told me that Xerxes gave the ball away a lot in the first half. He's a technically good player, Xerxes, but he gets caught in possession a lot. Sometimes you just got to play the pass. That's an adjustment that he has to make. He's only been here for 6 months, but he's got to make that adjustment. I think in relation to Rashford, honestly, from the first point where he had the ball and dribbled into one of their players, offsides, multiple bad passes, the yellow card, he could have got sent off at the start of the second half, actually. He was late on that player. I don't think he caught him particularly badly, but he could have done. But when you've had 2 or 3 days of people saying you need to be sold or the club's putting you up for sale, and you come out and put a performance like that out, it's just massively concerning that he looks so mentally shot. It was like a disintegration, that 45 minutes. It wasn't one to rant and rave about and be, angry about. It was one to be sympathetic about. It was a disintegration. He's, at one point, Martinez went up to him and was almost saying, "Are you okay?" And I think, hold on a minute. He's on £300,000 a week. He's 27, and he can't deal with playing for Man United. Now, I don't know what those reasons are, but it's Manchester United. You're a professional footballer. You're living the dream. And the basics have just disappeared, passing the ball. We can't be a charity. It's time to move on. I think it's time to find a solution for him and us. And we're better without him on the pitch. That's the bottom line, isn't it? Let's not talk about... I don't want to see toxicity. I don't want to see agenda or hate or anything like that. Player FC the other way. I don't want to see any of that. I think we're a better team without him on the pitch. Look at him when he went off. Mason Mount came on. We were better. We're better without him. And he is one of our biggest earners. We're better without Casemiro, and he's our biggest earner. So we've got a few players that we need to move on, and we just need to take sentimentality out of it. I actually fancied him to have a good game tonight because I thought the opposition's not that good. You've had a bit of a bad week in relation to being up for sale. I agree with Luazi. I actually felt for him, but ultimately we can't be a charity. I think it's time to part ways, and it'll be better for him as well. I think the attacks improved in the second half because we took off fullbacks like Malacia and put more attacking wingbacks on, says Zek. I used to love Rashford, but my God, says Marty. Rashford reminds me when you had handing your notice at McDonald's and you don't care in your last few days, says Eric. I don't think... The thing for me is, there was a couple of occasions in the first half where the camera cut to Amorim after Rashford made a mistake and he looked fuming. And then when he subbed off, there was no... Even when Xerxes came off, he gave him a bit of a high five. So I don't know whether anything's going on there. But to be honest, I wouldn't even read too much into that. If you were the manager today and you had Xerxes and Rashford putting in that performance, and you're expecting them to be showing you something to compete for other, Rashford and Xerxes are meant to be competing with Rasmus and Garnacho. And many of you would say Rasmus and Garnacho have hardly, torn it up and firmed up those places. So if you're Amorim, you're looking at Xerxes and Rashford today and you're going, that is absolutely pitiful, when actually there's places in my team up for grabs. So that's why Amorim will be pissed off. The selfishness towards the end was rubbish, says Joshua. Give Rashford his 300k and let him rot in the under-21, says Narky. Our forwards are too eager to counter-attack. Bad habit from Ollie Ball. Even when Xerxes held the ball well, he had no support, says Alan. Loads of membership gifts over the last few weeks and never shows up on the chat. Is there an issue with Amex? Rasmus should have started. I haven't seen them, Andy. I don't know what's going on there, mate. Hope you're doing well. Anthony and I'm glad Rasmus didn't start because we've got a big game on Sunday. I actually liked the rotation. Anthony and Mount subs changed the game, says Joshua. Watching Rashi plays like working 24/7 for free, says David. We had more energy and togetherness with the subs, says Akil. I mean, look, Anthony definitely wasn't perfect. I mean, he wasn't. But what I will say, and I never thought I'd be saying this in 2024, Anthony was better than Rashford and Xerxes. Definitely. I don't think he's good enough, but he was definitely better. Soon as we give chances to our striker, he performs. I mean, on Rasmus, it's very simple. It's a bit like Haaland. You feed them, they'll score. It's as simple as that. I'm not saying Rasmus is going to be R9. I'm not saying he's going to be, the best footballer in the world. But if you feed him chances, he'll score, and that's what we want our striker to do. I actually think under Amorim, his hold-up play has improved a lot better, and his link-up play has got better as well. I think under Ten Hag, he'd lose the ball when it came into his feet, but more and more under Amorim, I'm seeing him hold the ball up and lay it off, and that's really important in retaining the ball as well. I'm from the US, and I'm going to Old Trafford for the first time on my birthday to watch the Newcastle game. Do you have any recommendations of things to do in Manchester, says Raffo? Get yourself to Australasia restaurant, very nice. Why is our passing so poor, says Dwell? We need to focus on the basics. Rasmus proving he'll score when he gets service. Varren's gifted a membership. Anthony still feels salvageable, says Keel. I don't trust these players to organise an orgy in a brothel, let alone turn up and perform against City, says Phil. To think Anthony played better than Rashford is mad, says Bips. Rasmus was getting on Ahmad's ass. We saw that, Anthony. We've read that one. Mark, I really believe Onana has night vision problems. Every time we play at night, he's doing weird things, says Gregan. It's Ahmad's in to see the lad play this well. Made himself a first-team player, says Paul O'Connor. Smaller contract equals better performance, says Alexander. Delo was shocking. Even Anthony was better, says Fred Flintstone. Casemiro and Bruno don't work. I'm going to talk about that, Jose. Our decision-making is bad for the final pass, says Mud. Onana doesn't have common sense, says Undefeated. I mean, it was shocking. Let's talk about player ratings now, because then we can talk about Onana. The defence don't trust Onana. Every time he touches the ball, I get uneasy, says Sam. Garnacho did no difference today, honestly, says Vito. I think he did. Garnacho was on a different level to Rashford and Xerxes. I mean, you're taking your agenda and you're letting it cloud your vision there, mate. I don't want that sort of conversation in here because it's just blind. It's agenda-driven. Garnacho actually makes things happen. Obviously, it wasn't, he nearly scored. Some of his passing was good. It was more of a cameo from Garnacho anyway. I think Mount and Rasmus and Anthony had more of a grip on the game. We are absolutely unbearable to watch, says Trey. Thank you very much. Mark, honest opinion, would you rather have Rashford or Patrick Lynch up front, says Anders. And Ruben has a long, hard road ahead, says Ian Hobbs. Thank you very much. Right, I'm going to do the player ratings. Onana, for me, has got to be a 5. Some have gone lower than that. Look, it's not acceptable. He's into his second year now. He started off really well this season. Is it because we've changed the goalkeeping coach? I mean, at the end of the day, whether you've changed your goalkeeping coach or not, the goal he conceded to Gibbs White at the weekend was absolutely shocking. And the pass out from the back at the start of the second half in this game was just crap. So you can talk about goalkeeping coaches. There is a concentration issue with this goalkeeper. We saw it last season. I think we thought we'd moved past it. And I was willing to move past it. He wouldn't be the first player in his first year to have a bad year and then in the second year become a really good player. And I was thinking and hoping that's where we were heading. But the last couple of games have absolutely terrified me because they are completely and utterly They're not clangers in the sense that sometimes a goalkeeper makes a mistake. Alisson, Edison, Raya, they make a mistake. And you go, ha, they've made a mistake. But you know they're still a good goalkeeper. I look at Onana's mistakes and they're ridiculous. They're ridiculously low concentration mistakes. And I don't know. All I'm going to say is Amorim might look at this goalkeeper and go, long term, he's not for me. I said this when Ten Hag was here. If we ever get rid of Ten Hag, Onana was brought in specifically by Ten Hag because he likes that specific goalkeeper. He already had David De Gea. So we'll have to wait and see with that one. But yeah, not good tonight. Not good. Mazraoui, 6.5 for me tonight. I agree. Yeah, 100%. I just think yet again, another erratic's the word, Marvin AM. Yes. Look, Rashford looked like he wanted to get sent off, says Serge. Thoughts on Malacia, Mark? Well, we'll do that now, John Jordan. At least Anthony has the shooting down of a fullback, says FIFA Beetle. And there are a lot of players being found out because they can't hide, says Double D. Everyone has had minutes and this manager is no fool. This is a great point from Double D. He makes a lot of good points. Take the positives. Take the positives. Amorim is learning from these shit performances. And the great thing is, that was a shit performance, but we won. So Amorim's doing exactly what he said. I want to win games, but there is going to be a storm. So he'd be probably quite happy with that tonight because he's learned to load, but he's won. And in the Europa League, we're in a good position now where we should qualify in the top 8. And this is going to be a very important tournament for us, obviously. Unnecessarily stressful 60 minutes against a bang average team for no reason. For your attention, Manchester Airport just announced Anthony's shot has landed, says Matt Edwards. And I actually don't mind Rasmus going off on Ahmad. I think it just makes me wonder why no players go off on Rashford, says Bradley. Costa a potential target to replace Onana, says Ashton. Might be, yeah. OM says Mark's talking rubbish. You need to tell me what I'm talking rubbish about, mate. So I think that I'm going to go with Mazraoui has just been ridiculously consistent for us. Actually, I'm going to bring De Ligt in and give him a 6.5 as well. I think both those players today, Mazraoui and De Ligt, both came in the same deal. Both been ridiculously consistent. Obviously, Mazraoui's been doing it from the start, but I think in recent weeks, nobody talks about De Ligt. It's not fashionable to talk about De Ligt. He's massively underrated, like Ati says. It's the British media. They want to talk about. Sorry, I've just got to type this in for Beth. She's in the mix zone and she might get a question. I think that he's massively underrated. He doesn't get any credit. I think it's the British media who just get obsessed about Maguire. And the reality is Maguire might play on Sunday. De Ligt, it's almost like they want anybody to come in and play shit because they just want Maguire to play or whatever. And I'm like, well, Maguire might play on Sunday. Like, so what? We want as many good players as possible. And I think they've been really good signings. Really good signings. Martinez, I'd probably give him a 6. I just felt that he wasn't at the same level as De Ligt or Mazraoui, but I think he did okay. I think Martinez did okay, especially after the weekend. So yeah, I think a good performance from him. Delo, I've got to be honest again, was below par. I'll give him a 5. I don't know what's going on there, but he just doesn't even back on the right hand side. He's still struggling, and I don't know I don't get it. I don't understand it. Amorim's Portuguese, Delo's Portuguese. I would have thought I think it comes across that Amorim really likes Delo. He picks him a lot. Fred Army says he needs a break. Kelvin says Delo got a 4 for me. So many misplaces and so many misplaced passes and stupid shots outside the box. You could go down as a 4. Could you call Saba and Zaina Pratt, says Mr. United, and De Ligt blocks won the game. If not, we draw, says Serge. When we feed Rasmus, he scores, says Ray Carl. I hope you're doing well, Ray. Look, I think Delo, it's a weird one at the moment. I certainly think there's a good player there, but he's consistently below par at the moment. So I don't really know what to say, but other than it wasn't a very good performance from him. Casemiro's these both are very difficult for me. I might get this spot on. You might get it wrong. I might get it wrong. I don't know. I'm going to say 5.5. Okay. I'm happy I've gone higher than you. Right. I actually agree with the 5 because it's not far off 5.5. I don't think we got hold of the midfield. I think if I was asking Bruno a question tonight, I'd say, why were we so bad in the first half? And then why did the game change after the subs came on? And I think the game changed when the subs came on because we got hold of the ball better. We couldn't do that in the first half. And Casemiro's job is to do that. We pay £350,000 a week to Casemiro. We're playing Viktoria Plzen and we're not getting hold of the midfield. That terrifies me. Like, I like Casemiro, but we're not playing Arsenal at the Emirates. We're playing Viktoria Plzen and he is not getting hold of the midfield, and that is his job. I don't think he was dreadful, but I think on reflection, he should be getting hold of that midfield. Bruno's the big one for me. I'm worried about this one. I'm going to say we could be miles out on this. I think it's almost the litmus test for football on how you judge Bruno on this game. I'm going to say, well, I'm really stuck on this. I don't know why it's not because I'm scared to do it. I'm just trying to think. I'm conflicted. 6. Oh, okay. I nearly went 6.5. I was never going below 6, just to let you know. A lot of people in the chat are saying 5. Right, okay. Why have I gone with the 6? Simple. Average performance from Bruno. I understand his importance as a captain. You can't take him off. I understand that. We saw it last week. You take him off, it gets worse. But for an actual performance, 2 things. 1, we didn't get hold of the midfield and he was in the pivot. 2, when we made the subs and we were more on the front foot, he got better. I don't think Bruno works in the pivot. I think Bruno has to play behind the striker in one of those positions. I don't know why Amorim is trying to adapt him into a pivot player, but when we play decent teams, we will get absolutely destroyed in the midfield. Like, Liverpool will kill us on Anfield in January, and if he tries it at the Etihad, they will kill us as well. So I thought Bruno wasn't bad today, and there were good bits, but I don't like him in the pivot, and we never got hold of the midfield until we made the subs. So I would say Bruno was a 6 today. Playing out of position, I suppose. That's what I would say. It's a bit like when you put Delo at left back. That's the best way I could describe it. For me, he's playing out of position. Malacia, steady 6. Steady 6 for me. You know, coming back from that long time out, I thought he did okay. Also, he had Rashford ahead of him. No change out of him at all. So I'd give Malacia a 6. Ahmad, comfortable 6.5 for me. Yeah, I agree. Couldn't really get him massively in the game in the first half, but second half, so much was going through him. He should have had an assist for Mount. He did have an assist for Rasmus, more or less. So, yeah, I think Ahmad... It's interesting with Ahmad to see him in that position. We've not seen him in that position. And I think the interesting thing with Ahmad is, and certainly from Amram's point of view, is that he can play on the right and he can play in behind the striker. And we sort of knew that. So I think Ahmad comes through that game with another star next to his name because he has shown that he can play in that position. And we've been talking about this on the United Stand a lot. I and you and I have said Ahmad looks like he'd be brilliant in that position. And he showed it today that he can play it. So Ahmad can play 2 positions in that team. So, yeah, 6.5 for me. This is where it gets controversial. This is where I get clipped. Press your recorder because there's 2 here. Yeah, I mean, 4 for me, for Rashford. There's literally nothing positive to say. There's nothing redeemable to make it even in higher. There was just so many mistakes in the first half. Offside, misplaced passes, the yellow card was sloppy. He just looked completely and utterly disengaged. That can never be acceptable. Never be. I mean, you speak to someone like Roy Keane about that and they would just go, you can't do that. You just can't go out in a Man United shirt and do that. So whatever the reasons are, you could see Amorim's frustration as well. It was a lot of, I mean, your average score is 2.9, so I'm nowhere near with a 4, but Lord Shadow says 4's too high. But it was shocking. It was surprisingly shocking. I actually thought, you know what? And the scary thing about Rashford and some other players at the moment is that we're not even getting the bounce. You know, well, we did against Everton, but there's not, I expected a longer bounce than Everton when you think about some of the games he's played in. I mean, today, we're not playing Arsenal at the Emirates. It's not, they're not that good. A 300 grand a week player should be able to, you know, at least have a couple of shots or have a couple of runs, but nothing. It was a nothing performance. Joshua Xerxes, 5 for me. Probably, actually, I might even go down to a 4.5, but I'd probably go 5. It was poor. It was a poor performance. He lost the ball a lot. He held on to the ball for too long. It was worryingly poor because as much as I'll protect Xerxes, as I always have, he's not been here long and it could take time to adjust. And I'll keep saying that. That was a poor performance. There's no doubt about it. It was very poor, very, very poor, in my opinion. Lost the ball a lot. Link-up play wasn't good. There's no doubt he's a very good technical player. I mean, there was a point in the second half where he took the ball out the sky like a magnet. He's technically very good. I think there's something there, but again, is he happy at Man United? Is he settled? Has he got the right mentality? I don't know what it is with him that he's not. It just seems to be quite slow to settle, but that can happen. Agate, look, steady 6, came on, made a difference. His bigger job is on Sunday. Anthony, you know what? I'll give him a 6. Thought he came on and did okay. I'm not going to give him a bad score. I think he came on and he did okay. And trust me, that's a big improvement for Anthony. Mason Mount, probably 6.5 for me. Obviously, he should have scored a goal. Obviously, he gave the ball away a few times. Obviously, he could have done better. But I think sometimes you can come off the bench and make a difference, even if you don't play amazingly. And I think he made a difference. I think him off the bench made us different. Because Xerxes and Rashford offered nothing. And then Mount offered something, even though it wasn't perfect. It did improve us. So 6.5 for me. Garnacho was probably a 6. Rasmus, you've got to give him a 7. In fact, I'm going to give him man of the match. I thought the second goal was brilliant. Absolute match-winning goal. Very much like the Bodo Glimt. Got it out of his feet. Feed him and he'll score. He turned the game around for us with his finishing. I don't think either finish was amazing, but I don't think the second goal was easy. He had that other shot when he first came on as well, where he sort of held the ball up, got past the defender, got the shot off. So, you know, he had 3 shots on goal in a short cameo and scored 2 goals. And I think that's what you want your striker to do. The striker is there to take the headlines, and he took it. So I was very happy with Rasmus today. Ruben Amorim, difficult. It's really difficult, isn't it? Because he picks a team. Sorry. Just while I'm doing that, please do subscribe to the channel. We're so close to 1.984 on the road to 2 million. So please do subscribe. Bottom right-hand corner, get involved with the United Stand. We're live every night at 8 o'clock. We're going to the Forum in Manchester straight after this, every morning at 10 o'clock. So get involved with the channel. Just on Amorim, it's really difficult because he's got to pick a team with an eye on Sunday. I'm going to sneeze. God, I'm struggling. Right. He's got to pick a team with an eye on Sunday because that's a massive game. So he can't pick his best team. If you were judging that team that he picked, you'd be like, well, why has he done that? Why has he done that? So he's had to pick a team that's not his best team because he's thinking about the game on Sunday. So I can't mark him down for that. That team then lets him down and he makes a load of changes and wins the game. So ultimately, I would probably give him a 7 because I think that he's picked the right team, even though it's not a strong team. He's given people an opportunity that need an opportunity. They've let him down, and then he's made substitutions to win a game of football where we created a lot of chances. It was a shit game. up until about 65 minutes. But from 65 minutes, we created loads of chances, had loads of corners. So I think he got it right in the circumstances. I'd be worried if we hadn't played a game for a week and we weren't playing for another week and he picked that team, I'd be marking him down. But he's picked that team for a reason and he's changed it around. So for me, a 7. Man of the match is Rasmus with 79%. Make sure you smash a like on the video for that. I completely agree. Feed the Rasmus, let him score for Christmas time, says Cash. He's doing it. Feed the Rasmus, let him score for Christmas time. Xerxes put in more effort tonight. He ran more. Well, that should come in as a minimum, Corp, really. I'm not marking somebody up because they ran around and put effort in. Daddy Marks is Ricardo. Ericsson is missing games like this. Slow, but look, Thomas, we spoke about Ericsson. For whatever reason, ruthless from Amrim. If you know who the leaker is, why don't you call them out? If you cared about the club, you would. No, Jamie, I wouldn't. I wouldn't call them out because I'm not leaking the team. They're not leaking it to me. I'm not a grass. So it's not. You're just trying to get information out of me, and then I'll give it, and everyone would go, "Oh, Goldbridge is a grass." I'm not doing it. Man United didn't do their research on Casemiro when signing him because he's not a holding midfielder who played as a box crashing midfielder at Real, says Bips. Bruno got a 9 on Foot Mobile. I knew Bruno would be a divisive one today, Kay. I think some people would have thought he was great, some people wouldn't. Foot Mob gave Bruno a 9, says Ashton. Bruno with that assist was a 4, says Alan. Ineos needs... I mean, look, the assist from Bruno was good, but then again, the pass is good, but Rasmus still does a lot of the work. Ineos need to back Amrim. I hope he can win on Sunday. I believe in Amrim, says Josh. How does Amrim bring the players together? Right now, all the attackers look like they're playing for themselves. You work with Ahmad, Garnacho and Rasmus because they're young and you can mould them. That's what you do. Mount deserves a shout out. Can't deny his effort, says Nick. Completely agree. Right, let's get over to the fan forum. They're waiting for us in Manchester. I'm sure they've got some very different opinions to me. You've been absolute legends tonight. I'm back with you tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Mojo has gifted 20 memberships, by the way. I don't know why that didn't come up on my screen, but I've just spotted that. Big shout out to Mojo. Thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like and subscribe. Get yourself over to the fan forum. I'll speak to you on in a bit.